WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
The longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what this show's about. That's what we've been doing for over 16 years.
No. It's about sports entertainment.
And now here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Will you stop marking out over there?
Sorry.
Move over, kid. I'm taking your microphone.
You're shallow. You know that?
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I don't remember what the hell I do anymore. There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, all by myself, like the Eric Carmen song of the same name. Lucas is right now at the MFPW Arena down in Paulsboro, New Jersey, as day 2 of the MF Super Camp is going on. And since I am on injured reserve, as you may well know, I was not on the air last week due to recovering from hernia surgery that occurred some 12 days ago. I'm moving up and about a little bit here, but to say the least, I'm not exactly in condition to be training down there with the likes of Bill DeMott and Les Thatcher and Matt Wichlinski, the original strength and training coach for NXT, and among others that are down there for that. But I'll be down there later tonight for the event that'll be going on there. And man, what a crazy couple of weeks it's been. And the best way to describe it, as far as news, notes, and otherwise, I've got the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. And we'll go through all of those as the course of the hour goes on here. I guess we'll, I don't like to dwell on the bad too terribly much here, so we'll get the bad out of the way at first go. A week of passings. That's right. While I was going under the knife and convalescing over the course of a week, 2 weeks ago into last week, there were 4 different wrestlers who had unfortunately left us. Starting off with not too long after I was last on the air 2 weeks ago, announced that Chavo Guerrero Sr. had died at the age of 68. Chavo Jr. noting on his Instagram page that his father was diagnosed with liver cancer last month, and Chavo Sr., also known more recently as Chavo Classic, was best known for his work in the American Wrestling Alliance as well as WWE, and for being father of third-generation wrestler Chavo Guerrero Jr., all part of the Guerrero wrestling family. He also holds the distinction of being the oldest WWE Cruiserweight champion, winning the title in 2004 at the age of 55. But Chavo Guerrero Sr., or Chavo Classic, passing away 2 weeks ago today at the age of 68. As I said, maybe about an hour after I signed off the air. That was brought out into the mix here. And then last Thursday, more news came along. First with the premature word spreading on the 16th, but official passing on the 17th, 8 days ago, of Nicole Bass, the bodybuilder, wrestler, and valet known for her appearances in ECW and WWE in the late 90s. In ECW, Bass was part of Just Incredible's group or entourage, along with Chastity and Jason, the self-professed sexiest man on earth. And in reference to her bodybuilding accomplishments, I remember Joey Styles quipping at some point, it might have been at the Heatwave 98 pay-per-view, where he said, quote, "You could almost call her Russia because she's so much bigger than China," in a bit of a nod to Joni Laurer, who was in the World Wrestling Federation at the time. Bass would then go on to WWE as Sable's bodyguard at WrestleMania 15 in 1999, and competed in a forgotten mixed tag match. Well, I shouldn't say forgotten, but I guess overshadowed mixed tag match. We'll call it that way. 2 months later at Over the Edge 1999, teaming up with Val Venus to take on Jeff Jarrett and Deborah McMichael, all of whom were notably shaken. If you remember, that was the same pay-per-view of Owen Hart's passing. Nicole Bass was 52 years of age. And last Thursday, well, it did see the passing of WWE Hall of Fame wrestler William Jim Myers, better known to the world as George the Animal Steele. Steele originally had worked a masked gimmick as the Student back in the 1960s and adopted his longtime name after he dropped the mask. It was, from a gym teacher, I believe, who had the name George Steele. And since he was wrestling at the time in the Pittsburgh area, it made sense to have that Steele moniker along with it. And he had a successful run as the challenger to Bruno Sammartino in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And later on in his career, had a memorable run as a babyface or good guy in a feud with Randy Savage over Savage's valet, Miss Elizabeth. I'm sure you remember that there as well. Steele was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1995 and also worked as a teacher outside of the ring. And was, even though he didn't really say much in his George the Animal promos, he was a very eloquent speaker, which was rather interesting and showed the variety of his character. And Steele was, of course, best known for his wild demeanor in the ring, tearing up the turnbuckle pad with his teeth, using the stuffing as a weapon, as well as sticking out his green tongue. George the Animal Steele was 79 years of age. And finally, last Saturday, we lost the former WWF World Heavyweight Champion, the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. Koloff passed following a 10-year battle with liver cancer, and among Koloff's highlights, on January 18, 1971, he pinned Bruno Sammartino to win the World Heavyweight Championship and end Sammartino's 7 2/3 year reign as champion. And that looks to be a record in Sammartino's case that probably will never be broken. And he went on in the late 70s and 80s to have success in the National Wrestling Alliance and Jim Crockett Promotions, winning the NWA Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship 4 times and the Tag Team Championship on 5 different occasions. Koloff was 74 years old. So condolences to all of the respective families for the unfortunate litany of passings that have occurred in the wrestling world over the course of the past couple of weeks. It's not good. What can I say? That's why it's part of the bad in my my news here, looking at the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. And oh man, the just plain weird is certainly going to be a lot of fun to get into coming up in a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and go to the phones where we've got Ed from Northeast Philly on the line. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Good afternoon.
What's going on?
We have SWF in New Jersey at the Elks Lodge tonight at 7:30 p.m. Where Tito Santana, Greg Valentine, the Sandman, and Gene Snitsky.
Oh, wow. That should be, I see that here, the Passaic Valley Elks Lodge. And that's, okay, yep, doors open at 6:30. That's pretty up there in the northern part of Jersey, in Totowa there, I believe. But should be a lot of fun. As I look here at the advert for it, as you mentioned, Tito Santana, Gene Snitsky, also advertised looks to be the Patriot as well as the Sandman from the ECW original.
And I think there's Bull James too on the card.
I mean, that certainly could be possible. I mean, Bull has certainly made his way around, to say the least. So, I mean, that certainly should be a good card. And for those who may not necessarily want to drive all the way up to Totowa, New Jersey to see, for example, Greg the Hammer Valentine, could be able to do so a little bit later this afternoon right here in the Lower Bucks County area. I'll tell you more about that coming up in a few minutes here.
Rey Mysterio and Greg Carly will be at the Jaffa Shrine in Altoona, April 21st. For BTW.
Out in Altoona?
Yes. And they're doing a convention at South Philly, or in South Philly.
Oh, okay. So they'll be doing the convention that day, and then big time wrestling will be. It's a little bit of a hike out there to Altoona for those who'll be doing the drive there.
Not Legends of Wrestling. Archives of Wrestling holds their convention the next night.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so they're doing the Friday, and then the Collector Fest is going to be on the Saturday there, the 22nd of April. That's right. We haven't had a chance to really talk too much about that. I mean, it's still a couple of months away, but yeah, they're.
Eric Bischoff, I've seen on the list.
Oh, what for the Collector Fest?
Yes.
Oh, though there's I'm looking here at the site now because, as I said, I'm soaking it in here. I mean, Ric Flair's advertised to be there. Pretty notable. Pretty notable in a couple of reasons. I'll get more into that a little bit later in the show. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are going to be there. As you mentioned, Eric Bischoff, Rey Mysterio, Christian, Sean X-Pac Waltman, Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero, Dalip Singh, formerly known as the Great Khali, Bully Ray or Bubba Ray Dudley is going to be there, Christy Hemme. Vader's advertised to appear. I wonder how his health is doing in terms of that. Brooke Adams, also MVP. Velvet Sky is going to be there. The Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Ashley Massaro, Honky Tonk Man, Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart. Yep. Brian Christopher, Jerry Lawler's son's going to be there. Roadkill. As well.
Who else are they going to have?
Yeah, Gilbert and Maria Manick's going to be there. Okay, she just wrestled for the MFPW last week, actually. Good to see that she's on there as well.
You going to be on location that day?
That is yet to be determined. If I had to put odds on it, I would say, in the words of the late great Gorilla Monsoon, highly unlikely. Yeah, it's the whole return on investment, I suppose. Plus, I'd have to look at the. I haven't even looked at the. I'm just looking at it now. That's how crazy it's been, and I'd have to see what the. The vendor pricing would be to see if that'd be something that I could be able to do here.
And RLH is coming to the 2300 Arena in May 14th.
That should certainly be a lot of fun here. Okay, one table, $100. We'll see. All right, we'll have to work into some negotiations on that and play that by ear. Plus, I'll have to look at the schedule so it doesn't go up against anything booked with the MFPW. So that's something else to keep in mind. But I'll bat that around and see what we can do. But I don't know. At the moment, it's hard to say. We'll put it at that.
And last but not least is Triple WA in Quakertown tonight.
Oh, wow, yeah. And
7 p.m. bell time.
Okay, and there you said Quakertown, okay.
At the farmer's market.
Oh, the Q-Mart, okay. Yeah, that's, gosh, I forget if I told this story or not before, but the Q-Mart is where I purchased my first ever CD some 22 years ago. I don't know, just a fun little interesting fact there since you mentioned the Quakertown Farmers Market or the Q-Mart.
You might see Hackeye up there.
It's certainly possible. I mean, you never know where he's going to show up. That's for certain. Yeah, I've worked with Hackeye on a few different occasions for some of the completely damaged stuff with RC. There's another person I got to catch up with. I haven't talked to him in ages here. Well, fatherhood will do that.
Brady said hi to you. I ran into him a couple of weeks ago.
Brady Hicks, my good. You know what? I thought I saw him, oddly enough, at the viewing for Kevin Hogan. Over there in South Jersey. I thought I saw him. I was a little bit further back in line, and by the time I got, I didn't want to. The line was so long for that, I didn't want to hop out of it. But there were quite a few people, representatives from different local organizations here, Combat Zone Wrestling, the MFPW, that were at Kevin Hogan's viewing and funeral, and. Brady, I thought I saw a glimpse of him, but that was as much as I had seen at that point. But good to hear from me. I got to reach out to some of these people. It's the schedule has been so hectic and crazy, and even still now trying to recoup here after the surgery. It's still kind of nonstop here. Well, I'm doing a lot better than I was last week, that's for sure. I don't know if I would have been able to fulfill all the obligations here, so I kind of took the injury day off, and hopefully people didn't mind too terribly with that.
Nice day out today.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. The weather is certainly perplexingly and unseasonably warm, but I will gladly take, 70 degrees right now? 71 right now in suburban Philadelphia here, and for late February, I am okay with that. Although we know the rain's going to be coming a little bit later. Yeah, well, as long as it's not outdoor, because the showers and thunderstorms will be coming later today. So there you go. There's your look at the weather, and What was that?
Spring's right around the corner, too.
Yeah, it most certainly is, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So, is there anything else as far as the local scene there?
No, that's about it.
All righty. Thank you so much for the call and the look at the local scene as always. Greatly appreciated, Ed from Northeast Philly. So, yeah, we'll take care of a timeout here, and we'll come back and give you some of the good and some of the outright weird, or just plain weird, that is in professional wrestling over the course of the past couple weeks. But first, I got to let you know, since I kind of teased it a few minutes ago, George's Cards and Collectibles bringing you more signings, including today from 1 to 3 p.m. That's right, at the top of the hour here, it starts over at the Neshaminy Mall location. WWE Hall of Famer Greg the Hammer Valentine. That's right, the Hammer will be at the Neshaminy Mall location of George's Cards and Collectibles today from 1 to 3 p.m. Plus, next week, Saturday, March 4th, former WWE Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion, as well as one half of the Rockers, Marty Jannetty, will be at the George's Neshaminy Mall location from 5 to 7 p.m. So the appearances have been rampant. George has been stepping it up here for 2017. Not that he wasn't stepping up before, but stepping up even more. As crazy as that sound, with different appearances from not only wrestlers, but folks in the hockey world, as well as baseball, and, of course, football season in the end of 2016 as well. And, I mean, along with just the appearances, I mean, the different memorabilia and items that you can pick up there for all those different related sports, whether it's cards, whether it's memorabilia. In the case of wrestling, they have replica title belts. They've got all kinds of old magazines, old action figures, as well as, from what I've seen, a few one-of-a-kind items, to say the least. Everything from, I believe, last time I was there, I saw an autographed 2x4 from Hacksaw Jim Duggan, as well as what looked to be an autographed high heel from Deborah, the Deborah McMichael, or the valet and wrestler and former wife of Steve Mongo McMichael, as well as Stone Cold Steve Austin. So you never know what you're going to find there, so you definitely want to head on out to one of their 3 different locations for your cards and collectibles needs, including their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, as well as in the Willow Grove Park Mall in the second level near Macy's in Tivana, and finally in the Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing. For more information, go to georgescollectibles.com and follow George's Cards and Collectibles on Facebook. Coming back with the good and the just plain weird in wrestling. We'll also talk a little bit of Elimination Chamber fallout, take a look at the Fast Lane lineup, and the other usual antics. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Here's another What's It Worth Antique Minute. Recently, we observed the presidential inauguration. It was pictured on newspapers, magazines, television, and cable news. It was everywhere. But what was the first U.S. presidential inauguration ever to be photographed? Louis Daguerre was generally credited with inventing the photograph and introduced his daguerreotype in 1839. But while the daguerreotype worked well for still portraits, it was still not ideal for photographing large crowds and events. Back in 1857, while the U.S. Capitol was still under construction, it was John Wood, using a wet plate collodion camera, who first photographed the inauguration of a U.S. president, James Buchanan, our 15th president. What's it worth? In 2016, Sotheby's sold a photograph taken only 4 years later at Abraham Lincoln's first inauguration in 1861 for $27,500. Auctioneer, appraiser, and home downsizing expert Mike Ivankovich hosts What's It Worth? Ask Mike the Appraiser radio show. And you can tune in on Friday mornings from 9 to 10 on WBCB 1490 or on the internet at WBCB1490.com. All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind. knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Got
man.
the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so we might have to...
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
Breaking kayfabe.
Breaking kayfabe. Gonna break something else during this commercial.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry alongside not Lucas, as he is down at the MFPW Arena, part of the two-day, the MF Super Camp that is going on, of which normally I would be down there and participating in everything and trying to figure out how to make it all work. But with the recent surgery that I've had to undergo, I am definitely in no physical condition to be performing the high-impact maneuvers, especially 12 days removed from having hernia surgery. Definitely not fun, and I'm going to try to have fun the best way that I can here, and we'll definitely be doing that a little bit later in the show, where, as Joey Styles says,
"Oh boy, it's going to be one of those shows. I can feel it."
You're definitely right about that. Oh, man. So we got into the bad a little bit earlier. Let's get into some of the good that's gone around in professional wrestling here, including WWE issuing a press release a week and a half ago to announce a joint venture with HBO Sports and the Bill Simmons Media Group to produce Andre the Giant. It's a documentary film examining the life and career of one of the most beloved legends in WWE history. And the film will explore Andre's upbringing in France, as well as his celebrated career in WWE and his forays into the entertainment world, most notably including the movie The Princess Bride from back in '87. So that should be something to look forward to. I'm kind of curious as to how that's going to go when that comes out here. Also, Hall of Fame. I know we've been. I feel like I've been kicking that can down the road as far as the speculation, but I think so far you can't really provide an argument, at least I can't, as far as the selections so far, including the two that have been announced since last we were together here, including first longtime referee, manager, and storyline authority figure, notorious for making tag team matches on SmackDown, holla holla, Teddy Long will be inducted into the Hall of Fame class of 2017. And secondly, Diamond Dallas Page was announced this past week, and got to show some love for that, especially since I've had DDP here on the show a few years ago. He didn't train to be he trained to become a wrestler. He held off until the age of 35 to start training. So I know he's been in a way, kind of my inspiration since I started about a year ago at 34. He worked as a manager prior to wrestling and infamously drove the Honky Tonk Man's pink Cadillac to the ring at WrestleMania 6. You remember that, the performance by Rhythm and Blues, Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Maybe something to ask him about a little bit later at George's Cards and Collectibles. But their performance of Hunka 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 Honky Love. Try saying that one 5 times fast. Anyway, he eventually went on to become a multi-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and in recent years has helped Jake the Snake Roberts as well as Scott Hall with their substance abuse issues and health, adding to the resume of the Hall of Fame induction. Teddy Long and DDP, they will be joining the Rock and Roll Express's Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, as well as Kurt Angle in the 2017 class. So good on both of them, and certainly looking forward to that whole WrestleMania weekend. Also, WWE announcing that New Day members Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods will serve as hosts of WrestleMania 33. Should make for some fun interludes to help get the crowd through the anticipated 4 to 5 hour live event, as well as the probable 2-hour pre-show. And considering what they did this past year for WrestleMania with the with the giant Bootios cereal box, I can only begin to imagine what hilarity that they will have in store as the hosts of WrestleMania. Now, this is interesting news from WWE in terms of a new book release, and for the first time ever, WWE is publishing the official WWE Book of Rules and how to break them. V1 from OSW Review should be stoked about this, and I'm sure if Lucas were here, he'd agree on that. It's full of WWE secrets and entertaining narrations, including commentary and rule revisions from WWE superstars and Hall of Fame-worthy referees. Wonder if that's a nod to referees eventually getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Interesting. Including more than 200 pages of rules, drawings, and diagrams, and the foreword of the book is written by SmackDown Live General Manager Daniel Bryan. The book will be released this Tuesday and can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. And Ted Efaw, how you doing today, Ted? You're doing?
I am doing. What a great day, huh? Weather-wise, it's good. It's hard to believe
you ain't
it's February.
kidding. It is definitely a fun day, to say the least. Never know what's going to happen here. I should probably have you come in later when we get to the really weird to talk about some of the, some of that much, and also keep me in check here. Because
all right,
one of the stories is little on that borderline that I sometimes tend to tiptoe along, and I'm sure you'll...
Fearon's walking that line, that tightrope there. Right?
Walking the line like Johnny Cash.
That's
there we go. See? A little country road segue.
Yeah,
huh?
I like that. See?
I'll
be back then to
there we go. We'll see you in the
straight.
third segment here to keep me as straight as you can be anyway.
All right, that's right. Okay.
Duly noted. All right, looking at some other news here. Brock Lesnar announced his retirement from mixed martial arts, according to a UFC spokesman back on Valentine's Day. Yeah, I know, it's about 11 days old, but what can you do? With the announcement, Lesnar is no longer in the USADA drug testing pool, USADA standing for United States Anti-Doping Agency. However, he was in the middle of a one-year suspension for a USADA violation stemming from his last UFC fight. Now, the retirement doesn't make the suspension go away, it just freezes it. So should for some reason Lesnar decide to return to MMA, he would still need to serve the remaining 5 months of his suspension before he could compete in UFC. But at least for the moment, he is retired from UFC and focusing solely on his sporadic WWE appearances. Now, not that I want to be one to get into politics, because we definitely don't want to open that proverbial can of worms. We usually save that for Monday to Friday during this time slot. But I will note that while I was recuperating, the U.S. Senate confirmed Linda McMahon, yes, wife of WWE Chairman Vince McMahon, as the Small Business Administration leader. I know it was speculated for a while. We talked about it here on the show a few weeks ago, but now it has been confirmed. The Senate approving her by a vote of 81 to 19. So, 81% approval. I'm sure a lot of people are looking for that, myself included. McMahon was the CEO in WWE prior to entering politics in 2009, including twice unsuccessfully running for U.S. Senate herself in Connecticut and spending a reported $100 million, pinky to the corner of the mouth, of her own money to do so. Plus, she contributed $7.5 million to Super PAC, or Super Political Action Committees, in support of President Donald Trump's campaign when he was doing so. And that's all I've got to say about that, because otherwise, who knows what kind of trouble I'll start. Also, for those out there who may have heard about Lucha Underground but don't necessarily have the El Rey network, well, soon Netflix will be able to help. The Lucha Underground promotion announcing on Twitter that the first 2 seasons will be released on Netflix this spring, although no specific date was announced. And finally, Milena Ruca, who worked in WWE as Rosa Mendez, announced her retirement from the company over the course of these past couple weeks on the same day as her daughter's first birthday. She said on Instagram, quote, "As I write these words, I have tears in my eyes because the love I have for my WWE family and especially for the WWE universe. For the last 10 years, WWE was my life, my world, and my family. I was Rosa Mendez. Now I am Milena Ruca, Jordan's mother, a soon-to-be wife, and a hard-working entrepreneur." So congrats to Rosa Mendez on her retirement and the living the good life, the family life, as things will be looking to going forward. Definitely looking forward to that. And Yeah, I know it's about a week, almost 2 weeks old now, but the Elimination Chamber, as far as the results, it looks like Lucas and I are tied for the year with me besting him by one in the picks. One no contest, and these other 7 matches, myself going 4-3 on the pay-per-view, Lucas going 3-4. Both of us almost matching up. The only difference being the handicap match. I had picked Apollo Crews and Kalisto, and Lucas went with Dolph Ziggler, and I was on the positive end of that. But otherwise, we both got correct. The Mojo Rawley and Kurt Hawkins pre-show match, the tag team turmoil match, American Alpha retaining the tag titles, Randy Orton defeating Luke Harper, and that's about it. The other ones that we didn't quite get so right, Becky Lynch ended up beating Mickie James, as well as Naomi pinning Alexa Bliss to win the SmackDown Women's Championship, and Bray Wyatt, your new WWE champion, and leading to the possibility of a Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Wyatt family explodes at WrestleMania 33. Where's the Mega Power Sax when I need it? Oh, I should have thought of that ahead of time. Shame on me. Wyatt family explodes here at WrestleMania 33. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't, who knows. But in either way, it's always fun to use that sax to harken back to WrestleMania 5 and the Mega Powers and all that. Plus, it's just fun in general. I don't know. So both of us 8-7 for 2017, and Fastlane coming up 1 week from tomorrow. So far, 5 matches set on the card, including 4 title matches. The odd match out in this case, Roman Reigns facing Braun Strowman, a battle of the behemoths there. And then your 4 title matches, you've got Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson defending the Raw tag titles against Enzo Amore and Big Cass. Also, Bayley against Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship. You've got Neville against Jack Gallagher for the WWE Cruiserweight title, and Kevin Owens defending the Universal Championship against Goldberg, which could have some interesting, could make things interesting for WrestleMania should Goldberg defeat Owens, and then Goldberg against Lesnar, the WrestleMania rematch from 13 years prior, could end up being for the championship. So certainly looking forward to that as well. So coming up, going to take care of a little bit more business here, and then we'll get to the interesting third segment with the just plain weird in professional wrestling, and certainly some fun stories with that, one of which including some apparel, another involving an unwanted WWE phone call as the Raw cameras went off the air. Yeah, we'll get into that controversy. And the third one, which is where Ted's going to have to keep me out of trouble, an interesting parody that's going to be going on, and you'll definitely want to put the children to bed for that one. We'll put it that way. But first, well, of course, I got to tell you that about my friends over at the Broken Goblet Brewery at 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. The people have spoken, and democracy has spoken at the Broken Goblet. For those who missed it 2 weeks ago, the T-Cision is in the books. The ballots have closed, and the winner for 2017 is going to be a fruit tea called Rote Grütze. Must have some sort of a German flair because it's got the umlaut over the U, from the little bit of linguistics that I know from ages ago. But it's a combination of blueberry, blackberry, huckleberry, hibiscus, and other fruits, all dried up into tea leaves, and then that tea being brewed in with the ale that is utilized at the Broken Goblet. It's the 4th incarnation of the Bubba's Tea Bag, and that's what it's going to be for the 2017 calendar year going forward here is the Rote Grütze, but you'll know it better as the as Bubba's Tea Bag 2017. And you can head on over to the tap room and give it a try today. They actually just opened up at noon, so you can head on over there now. You can give a listen in the car on your way over to there. Also just tapped last night the Broken Goblet Blood Orange IPA. I've had that before, and that one, I'm not an IPA fan, and I found that to be delicious. And returning tonight to the tap room is the ever-popular Kinky Quizzo. You want to get there early for a decent seat, as that always tends to fill up. And what can I say? Just a few reasons, along with the live music that they have on certain nights. They've got Quizzo on some nights, movie nights. There are numerous reasons why it's always a good time at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. And don't forget the food as well, prepared in the food truck of Nick's Roast Beef. You know them from Cotman Avenue, and you can get that Northeast Philadelphia taste in Bristol, a little bit further up in the suburbs. Broken Goblet Brewing, the semi-official brewery of Pro Wrestling Weekly. Please enjoy responsibly, because irresponsible enjoyment, well, that leads to all kinds of troubles. I mean, you can see that in and outside of the wrestling world, to say the least. So coming back with the just plain weird in professional wrestling, as well as birthdays, today in wrestling history, the Brucey bonus, all that and more. Plus, we'll tell you about what's going on tonight down in Paulsboro and why the self-professed celebrity isn't here as well. All that and more here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Your health is your most precious asset. Tune in to St. Mary Healthline Wednesday at 9 a.m. for advice on how to better manage your health. You will hear about important medical issues from the doctors and professionals across all service lines from St. Mary Medical Center. You will have the opportunity to talk or email your questions to the experts who can help you live a healthier lifestyle. St. Mary Healthline, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. It's your health. Expect more. Everything you wanted to know about funerals and planning but did not know who to ask. Tune in Mondays at 9 a.m. to everything you wanted to know about funerals and planning, being brought to you by Louis A. Galzerano III Funeral Home. Call 215-945-8484.
Get involved. Change a child's life and join the Bucks County Foster Parent Team. You can help by providing a safe home, caring environment, and life skills for the future. You will receive training, support, and financial help and be rewarded with the knowledge you helped change a child's life. For more info, call 215-348-6997. That's 215-348-6997 or email rwatkinshall@buckscounty.org.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, February 25. On this date in 1990, the NWA held its Wrestle War 90 pay-per-view. In the main event, Ric Flair defeated Lex Luger by countout to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2001, the WWF held its No Way Out pay-per-view. In the main event, The Rock pinned Kurt Angle to win the WWF Championship. On this date in 2004, the NWA TNA held its weekly pay-per-view number 82. In the main event, Abyss defeated AJ Styles in a tables match. On this date in 2008, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Phoenix, Arizona. In the main event, John Cena and Triple H defeated Mr. Kennedy and Randy Orton in a tag team match. On this date in 2013, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Dallas, Texas. In the main event, John Cena pinned CM Punk. This has been Today in Wrestling History, February 25. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Man, quite a few different interesting and varied pay-per-views going back in wrestling history. Ric Flair and Lex Luger. That's probably right around the tail end of when you, Ted Efall, were watching the NWA back at that point. Yeah, and... yeah, that was the Wrestle War 90 pay-per-view. So that might have been a little after, but you still probably, you know Ric Flair and Lex
absolutely.
Luger, to say the least.
I do know them.
Then after that, when it gets a little more current, The Rock you've heard of from the movies, and Kurt Angle, his name has been weaved in and out of pop culture vernacular. Right. Even before he was a professional wrestler, he was an Olympic gold medal winning wrestler, an amateur wrestler, winning the gold at... in the freestyle wrestling at the 96 Atlanta Games.
Okay.
And then he took that success and went professional and ended up becoming a multi-time WWE and TNA champion. And this year will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
That's always true. Any Hall of Fame, that's good stuff.
Oh yeah, it's very, very. The accomplishments seem endless for Kurt Angle, and they ended up. The Rock ended up beating Kurt Angle on this date 16 years ago. Yeah, I know. Where does the time go, right? Now Kurt Angle's, he's pretty much done, and The Rock is doing movies.
That's right. Or doing commercials where he's holding tires. Was it The Rock that did that commercial? Or was it where he showed how strong he was? I'm not sure if that was The Rock. I'm confused. Now you got me I'm guessing here.
I'm not sure
Showing
because
himself as a mighty man.
Yeah, my television viewing days are very minimal anymore.
Right.
I didn't even really watch TV much while I was recuperating from the surgery. It was, I don't have the cable in my room, so it was kind of more of, all right, let's see what's on YouTube or the WWE Network, but that's about it. So I don't think they're necessarily showing those commercials.
I don't know why. I can't.
Yeah, I can't imagine either. So a look at the just plain weird in professional wrestling. Yeah, here we go. I'll save the best/worst for last here.
All right, I get to be the censor from the 1950s
here. Yeah,
here.
Exactly. So firstly, WWE issued a press release almost 2 weeks ago to announce a partnership with Contenders Clothing, a men's active lifestyle apparel company, to create a co-branded exclusive collection of WWE-inspired boxer briefs.
Ooh.
Called WWE Contenders Collection. I can't make this stuff up.
My goodness.
Yeah, I don't even know if creative can make this stuff up. I mean, this is, I kid you not, WWE-inspired boxer briefs. The WWE Contenders Collection includes adult and youth-sized boxer briefs that feature WWE superstars and legends, including WWE superstars John Cena, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, and Dean Ambrose, as well as WWE Hall of Famers Macho Man Randy Savage, Ric Flair, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I don't know if you want.
Well, Lucas has an interesting strut these days. Now we will know why, right?
Yeah, exactly, because he'll be styling and profiling like the Nature Boy. Okay, maybe not. He'd be all over those Dean Ambrose ones. That's more his style. And I'm sure I'll catch all kinds of.
I'm looking forward to you updating us on sales on this one.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. Now, they're not yet available on the website contendersclothing.com, but they were available briefly, or boxer briefly, I suppose, at the Magic Apparel Convention in Las Vegas this past week.
Okay. Well,
so,
Vegas,
conventions are not just for wrestling fans or comic book fans. There are other conventions that go on as well.
And in Vegas, what you do in Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And my 2 trips there would definitely be proof of that. All right, moving on. Speaking of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, he made an appearance at WWE Monday Night Raw this past Monday off camera, and that he appeared a little bit before the show and then had an interesting appearance afterward, inviting the fans at the Staples Center to stick around for a movie shoot that would be held. That's right, held in the arena there. It's for the big finale of the film Fighting with Family. It chronicles a wrestler who, a British female wrestler, Paige, who made her way over to the States and got to the pinnacle of WWE, and on her very first night in the company, ended up winning the women's championship at the time.
Wow!
So they were going to recreate that as Paige and the person whom she had beat at the time, AJ Lee, are both neither with the company anymore.
Oh, okay.
For different reasons, yeah. Oddly enough, both of them having to do with relationships in wrestling. Paige currently, I forget if she's dating, engaged to, I forget. It's hard to keep track of these things, and by no means am I that kind of a gossip person. But
come on,
either way, she's with
inquiring
minds want to know. I believe dating and oh no, she is engaged. That's right, because I remember Del Rio popping the question, or she popped the question to Del Rio in the ring at a match in Mexico. There we go. So yeah, the memory will eventually get triggered here, and I'll remember this stuff. But
self-denial.
Yeah,
you're just trying to wash it out, and it keeps
coming back. Exactly. It keeps going out, and somehow it makes its way back in. It's like that old song, "The Cat Came Back."
That's right.
But yeah, Paige and Del Rio engaged, and Del Rio had numerous falling outs with WWE, and AJ Lee, of course, married to wrestler CM Punk, wrestler and UFC fighter now CM Punk, who has his departure from WWE was very well chronicled a couple of years ago.
Yes.
So. What's weird about this, you're probably wondering? Well, in regards to it happening after Raw, that gave the fans a great deal of entertainment and Vince McMahon a few more wrinkles backstage. Because as everything was being set up to film, Rock explained to the crowd what the movie was about and that they were going to recreate Paige's WWE debut and title win against AJ Lee. And WWE fans being who they are, as soon as AJ Lee was mentioned, that led to an almost immediate, rapidly growing chant of CM Punk, CM Punk.
Really? Oh.
Which The Rock kind of taking the ball and running with it, he said, you know what? I'm going to call Punk right now. And the crowd went absolutely ballistic. And he got the call on speakerphone, but it went to voicemail, much to the crowd's disappointment. But Rock left a message along the lines of, hey, I'm here in Los Angeles at the Staples Center with about 15,000 people, and they all want to say hi. And the crowd then delivered a massive CM Punk chant. After the call, The Rock got the crowd to follow the directions in terms of reactions, how loudly to cheer, small cheer, big cheer, booing, etc. And interestingly, he noted it was noted when he asked the crowd to boo, he joked that they should boo like they're booing Roman Reigns, who is supposed to be one of the more popular wrestlers, but the adult male demographic does not, they do not take too kindly to him because he's kind of the golden boy, for lack of a better term. Right. So there's kind of that anti-backlash kind of thing, and Roman Reigns, oddly enough, is a cousin of The Rock.
Okay, so he knows what buttons to push here,
he's kind of jabbing a little bit there. And he noted that Punk tried calling him back, but was unsuccessfully able to get him on FaceTime, which is what they were trying to do. Yeah. iPhone stuff. And then a few minutes later, a WWE referee ran up to the ring apron and gave Rock the kill sign across the neck. To which Rock smiled but didn't mention CM Punk again throughout the thing. So obviously, Vince McMahon not taking too kindly to the mentioning of the former star who had a very negative falling out. But to Punk's credit, he did tweet out later that night, quote, "Thanks, Los Angeles. Nice to hear from you at Staples Center." So that was his way of respecting the fans, but not necessarily respecting WWE because, again, the bad blood between them is much worse than what Neil Sedaka sang about in 75.
Well, I mean,
there we go. Chart toppers.
Yes, there you go. We just round circle. We promote, self-promote. And
shameless self-promotion.
Shameless. Well, you've learned from Vince McMahon how to do that.
Exactly.
Right? I wonder what the repercussions will be. You think any
there
from
won't
this?
Be any.
Okay.
Because anytime The Rock shows up, it's a major, major occurrence, and it's just eyes on the product and dollar signs in his pocket, and he's not about to jeopardize that. So The Rock knows that he can walk the line. He knows where the line is, and he can even step over it a little bit. And because he's one of those legends in that regard, and I mean, if he came back for a match, I mean, that would be easily probably 8 figures in terms of bringing in. I mean, at least in terms of fan interest, in terms of reprompting of merchandising and a lot of different other things that would easily put some money in McMahon's pocket and therefore the shareholders as well. So he knows not to tip that apple cart by any means. And now here it is.
Here we go.
Now, I'm surprised that it took almost 20 years for this to happen, but an adult film company is making a porn parody of WWE's infamous Montreal Screwjob from Survivor Series 1997. Now, for those, this is more for you, Ted, but for those who aren't as familiar with that from almost 20 years ago now, the finish of the Bret Hart-Shawn Michaels championship match was changed because Bret at the time was leaving for WCW, the competition, and Vince McMahon didn't want him as champion to take the heavyweight championship belt with him over to the other company, as a women's wrestler had done a couple of years earlier, and on their live program took that WWF women's belt and literally dropped it in the trash can on camera to kind of show what she thought of it. So Vince McMahon did not want that with his most prestigious championship. So it was initially arranged to be kind of a double disqualification thing, and that's what everybody thought, except there was some collusion that occurred, so it prompted the referee to call for the bell when Shawn Michaels put Bret Hart in Bret's finishing hold, the sharpshooter, and that ended up causing Bret to lose the match and head off to WCW very embittered, and he wouldn't come back to WWE until 13 years later. It took that long for the fences to mend.
Wow.
So, with all of that being said, yes, an adult film company is parodying that with female adult entertainment stars Mia Malkova and Romy Rain playing the roles of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, respectively. Now, not many details are available yet, but I'm sure Lucas won't mind the assignment of reviewing the film when it's released.
There you go.
And he's not even here to defend himself, but I'm sure that there's not much defense on that. And he's like, no, I'll be happy to do that assignment. Absolutely. Now, this company, which for the purposes of, again, not crossing the line, I won't mention what the name of the company is, but if you really want to find out, there is that little thing called the internet.
Okay.
It's very popular, from what I hear. But this particular company must have some sort of a fandom in wrestling, as a year and a half ago, when Seth Rollins, who at the time was the champion, was sidelined following knee surgery because he had torn his ACL, MCL, and lateral meniscus and was going to be out for 6 to 9 months. They tweeted at Rollins to get well soon and offered to, quote, gladly hook him up with free adult videos to help, or to, quote, help cope with the downtime. Interesting, yeah. And prior to that, in the summer of 2015, when wrestler Dolph Ziggler was uncertain whether he would continue with WWE and was in the contract negotiation phase, this same company offered to sponsor him, tweeting at him, "If you don't sign with WWE, our offer is still on the table," to which Ziggler replied, quote, "I know, babe, I know." He ended up sticking with WWE, but there's obviously a lengthy history regarding wrestling and this particular adult entertainment company, and it's rather interesting. But yes, with a name like the event that occurred with Bret Hart being called the Montreal Screwjob, it does it is kind of ripe for parody. We'll leave it at that.
Well, you did well. You stayed on. You didn't cross that line.
Didn't cross that line, and we're good to go in that regard. All right, I do have to tell you before we roll on out of here, action returns tonight to the MFPW Arena, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Mikey Webb challenging for the MF Live Championship held by Nick Camarado, and that's a match that if you're following the MFPW on Facebook, you can watch that match live tonight, as it'll be streamed out over Facebook Live. So even if you can't make it down to the arena, just follow the MFPW on Facebook, and you'll be able to see the match live in its entirety tonight. That'll be the main event, probably around 9 or 9:30 tonight. Also putting their titles on the line, the Money in the Miles, Fala Ba and Mario Bocora, as they face a mystery team. Plus, it's the return of the MFPW girls, and there's going to be tons of debuting and returning stars, as there are a lot of people from all over the country and world who have come in for the MF Super Camp. Part of the reason why, it is the reason why Lucas is not with us, as that camp started earlier. Started yesterday at noon and went most of the night, and day 2 of it started fairly early this morning, and they're going on through the event tonight.
Wow.
So lots of folks from all over the country are, and internationally as well, are in for this camp, and
that's pretty
You'll
cool.
get to see them showcase their abilities tonight at the MFPW Arena, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. The doors open at 6. The action starts at 7. Tickets are still available now at eventbrite.com, and check out the MFPW and all things Monster Factory on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, plus at monsterfactory.org. And check out past matches, bios, bloopers, and more at the mfnetwork.com. And don't forget, Factory Fridays, the 18-plus alternative to the MFPW, returning on March 10th.
Wow.
That
Lots
should be,
going on
yeah,
there.
it should be a lot of fun there. And with 2 minutes left, that, of course, means that it's time for...
Birthdays!
Thank you so much for that, Lucas. I'm surprised you weren't too busy concerning yourself with that last story and the... Yes. Once he goes back and listens to this, he is going to give me so much crap. Oh, who am I kidding? He doesn't go back and listen to these. Shots fired. All righty. Well, normally I go in chronological order, but the first one I'm going to save for last because it is, in my opinion, the best for last. First off, on this date in 1966, Nancy Evelyn Humphreys was born, the co-anchor of syndicated entertainment news show Entertainment Tonight and former host of Access Hollywood, as well as guest co-host of Monday Night Raw on October 12, 2009, along with Maria Menounos. Better known as Nancy O'Dell, turns 51 today.
Wow, how about that? Happy birthday to her.
Sometimes, get a little celebrity involvement as well. On this date in 1982, Maria Louise Kanellis Bennett was born. The former TNA Knockouts champion, WWE and Ring of Honor valet, and real-life wife of TNA wrestler The Miracle Mike Bennett turns 35 today. And seeing her in person, she is all the way live. I got to work with her at an event that George's Cards and Collectibles did as far as a wrestling show. And she is as awesome and professional as she is good-looking.
Perfect combination.
Yes. On this date in 1983, Stephen Paul Lewington was born. The former WWE ECW superstar known as DJ Gabriel turns 34 today. And finally, on this date in 1949, Richard Morgan Flair was born, the legendary Hall of Fame wrestler and 16-time world heavyweight champion known as the Nature Boy. Ric Flair turns 68 today. Woo! You know it. You know it. And, of course, the Brucey bonus on this, something outside of the world of wrestling. On this date in 1935, Sally Lowenthal was born, the longtime journalist and red-spectacled syndicated talk show host known as Sally Jesse Raphael turns 82 today.
Oh, my.
So happy birthdays across the board. Time for me to go style and profile down to the MFPW Arena. Hope to see you there. And until next week, play us out, Nutsy.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Serving you better than ever before. This is 1490 WB.